For viewers who may not be aware, you've already gone to the Public Protector's Office to lodge a complaint against the Deputy President. The basis of that complaint, are you able to remind us again what it is that you've complained about? We'll come to the latest allegations in a moment.
Good morning, Polly, and to Newsroom Africa viewers. You are correct indeed. 2 weeks ago, we lodged a complaint with the Office of the Public Protector to investigate in light of the very serious revelations that were contained in the public sphere. And our interest in doing so was with regards to the potential conflict of interest that the Deputy President has exposed himself to, given his current position and given the indication that he continues to enjoy benefits from business people, some of whom are doing business with the state. And in light of the fact that, he is the leader of government business, and it is important that the business of government is always protected from any undue personal or unethical interest, we then launched that complaint so that it can investigate whether the conduct of the Deputy President has been one in violation, for instance, of the Executive Members Ethics Act, but also compromised his ability to do his work in a neutral and fair manner.
Yeah.
We have sought to do that by asking the Public Protector to look at the historic relations between the Deputy President and these individuals, and particularly his conduct in government.
Yeah.
So in light of the latest revelations that emerged yesterday with regards to benefits that he has benefited in relation to the companies that involve either his son and his son-in-law through business that they've done with the Gauteng Partnership Fund in the Gauteng provincial government. What we have done is written to the Office of the Public Protector, which is permitted in terms of what it's allowed to do, to say that in light of the initial complaint that we have lodged, can you then broaden your investigation or broaden the allegations that we have asked that you look at to also cover these latest ones?
I'm not sure whether you would have seen the report by the Sowetan newspaper, Mr. Malatsi. The Deputy President seems to have had a conversation with that publication, and he states that he has not had interaction with Mr. Sodi, one of the people that he's alleged to have a relationship with, since he came into office as Deputy President. The reason I'm asking you this question is that what potential conflict could there be if the Deputy President says, one, I'm not involved in Mr. Sodi or other persons that may be in conflict with the law, and therefore I cannot understand why the DA is pursuing me via the Office of the Public Protector. How would you respond to that?
Well, one, just, straight away, it would be difficult to just take, the Deputy President's word for it. So that's why investigation is necessary. But equally so, we know, Toli, that prior to the Deputy President becoming the Deputy President, he has previously occupied very senior roles, within government. He has been Deputy Minister of Arts and Culture. He has been a portfolio committee chairperson. He has held various executive positions, including during his tenure in the Gauteng provincial government. So that is why the scope of that investigation, as we have requested, is to look at the nature of the historic relations and also the timeline of those relations, insofar as the relationship that the Deputy President continued to enjoy or has previously enjoyed with these business individuals, particularly given the fact that someone like Edwin Sodi has been involved in some of the underperforming state tenders that he has been able to get by doing business with the state. So by the Deputy President merely dismissing that he hasn't had any relation or interaction with Mr. Sodi since his appointment as Deputy President, it's not enough to ignore the scale of the allegations and the impact that they may have had, because he does not deny that he has had a long history of benefiting through, whether the use of his home in his previous capacities. And conflict of interest is a very interesting thing, because what we want investigated here is, do these individuals, for instance, have a competitive advantage over their peers in entrepreneurship, in doing business with the state, by virtue of enjoying personal relations with the Deputy President? And it is a very fair question to ask.
But how do you prove then that derived benefit, if you will, that the Deputy President has been friends with these people who have subsequently been awarded state contracts? And the reason I ask this question is that this morning I had a conversation with MEC Maile, who is the MEC of Human Settlements, under whose department the Gauteng Partnership Fund falls under. And this is now the entity which is understood to have been involved in a transaction. That word transaction was used by Maile. So it was involved in a transaction with a company that is owned by Mashatile's son-in-law, including the son. But he says the Deputy President, even if he was the MEC, coincidentally, at the same time as these loans would have been obtained, he does not get involved in the runnings of the department. In other words, the administrative parts of the department. Therefore, how do you prove your case?
Well, that is why we have sought the avenue of the public protector, because, proving the veracity of allegations and the case lies with the public protector. Ours is to highlight and bring to the fore, the allegations that have been brought and lay the complaint. So the public protector will have to investigate, those allegations. But the important thing here, Cody, is abuse of power and what it means in the real world. And I mean, we both, astute enough to know that, abuse of power does not require any political principle, for instance, to be involved in the administrative workings of a department. It's simply because there are backhanded tradings and discussions and unlawful instructions that often go to government officials in order to deliver these unethical contracts that end up being the source of corruption. And it's a very important thing in order to build that distinction, one, between personal interest and the business of government, and secondly, to protect, the business of the state from party influences. And that's why institutions that support our constitutional democracy, including Chapter 9 institutions in the form of the public protector, were created for this purpose.
Are you jumping the gun, though, by immediately stating in your media release that we could potentially be in the throes of state capture 2.0 if nothing is proven yet?
Absolutely not. If you check at, the diagnosis that was done in terms of the emergence of state capture and, what is emerging in light of these allegations, there are common features. One of those is that, you've got business people, some of whom are doing business with the state, who enjoy problematic proximity and political intimacy with senior government officials and senior ANC figures, right? And this was the modus operandi of state capture in the form of, the proximity of the Gupta family to the then president of the country, Jacob Zuma. The second other common feature here is where you have, family members associated with a senior government official or government leader and an ANC leader in the form of the Deputy President and his sons and his son and son-in-law, embroiled in a controversy that has to do with doing business with the state. The same was the case with regards to, former President Jacob Zuma's sons and their involvement in getting, business with the state.
Yeah.
So the characteristics are very much similar. and it looks exactly like how the emergence of state capture happened, particularly if you also go through what Judge Zondo said in the state capture report, that this exists between political leaders and business leaders with undue influence, particularly when those relations result in, benefits that then affect how government works. They're very problematic